Okay, we have the show, The Voice right now coming in.
Yeah, we today on the show we have a very special guest by the name of Michael Kirkpatrick. Michael is from Texas. He's gonna come and talk about his experience in working in Uganda. Michael, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome on the show.
Thank you, Monique, for having me.
Can you tell us about your work in Uganda? Because I know you've been really involved with the local community. Not just, when you go to Uganda, you don't just stay in the town, you go in the villages and you see the real Ugandan.
Yeah, that's always been something that's interested me. This whole journey that I've been on, been a really unique experience, a learning experience. My wife and I traveled to Uganda for the first time in 1998, and that was at the invitation of a Ugandan friend who was running an organization in his community, in his rural village. So we took him up on his offer to visit. It was an eye-opening experience. I don't like to use the words good or bad, right or wrong. Things are different. And for me, it was a learning experience because the educational system, or at least the education that I received here in the U.S., tends to be lack of anything about Africa, and the only way that we really hear anything about Africa is through the mainstream media, which tends to go along the same narrative of stories that aren't very positive. So my exposure and my visit to Uganda really opened my eyes to just a different side of the perspective that I had going into this journey.
You're promoting Ugandan music. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. That actually it's an amazing story. A series of serendipitous events. As my wife and I had gone back and forth to Uganda, each time we would go, we'd start building relationships with people. And a lot of those people, it was relationships with people in Uganda, but also relationships with Ugandans who were in Europe and Ugandans who were in America as part of the diaspora. And it was just my way of learning from locals and learning from people, who were Ugandans, since I was really ignorant, about anything to do with Uganda, other than things like Idi Amin or Joseph Kony or any of the things that tend
Yes, because that's what they usually promote.
Exactly.
The negativeness of things coming from Uganda, yet Uganda have a lot to offer.
Absolutely. And the actually on a visit in 2007, one of the things that I enjoy doing when I travel to Uganda is visiting with friends and people that I know. So there were Ugandans that I'd met even here in Dallas who had moved back to Uganda. And, when I would go to Uganda, I'd make sure I would touch base with them and I'd visit them. And one of these friends that I had met in Dallas, I had made arrangements to meet with them at Garden City Mall, Cafe Pap, and just a common meeting place, coffee shop where we could meet. And with that friend of mine was a friend of theirs, and his name was Maurice. And I had never met Maurice before. I didn't know anything about him, but this young man carried his guitar with him everywhere. And it was interesting because, we had spent about an hour together just chit-chatting and catching up. And I had needed to go to the restroom, needed to go to the loo for a short call. And while I was in there, I was approached by two Ugandans who started questioning me and saying, "So Kirya? You know Kirya? How do you know Kirya? Who are you? Are you an American? Are you a music producer? Are you, you promote, international music, And it was an awkward situation because I'm doing my business, and these two men are like, we're alone in the bathroom, and they're blocking the door, and I was starting to get a little a little nervous about the whole situation, and I did not know who they were talking about. And because the young man who I had met with the guitar, I simply knew him as Maurice. Well, here, this young man was Maurice Kirya. And Maurice Kirya, he was a rising musician. And we just got to know each other. And through things like social media now, when I came back to the U.S., I was able to keep in contact with a lot of my Ugandan friends, like Maurice. And his music inspired me so much. And he had so much talent. I don't describe him as an entertainer. He is a musician. He plays instruments, he sings, he plays multiple instruments, he's a songwriter. He knows music. It is in his blood. And just out of the sheer necessity and inspiration that he gave me, I decided to help promote his music, especially here in the U.S. So he came here to the U.S. and did some festivals and some performances, and we kind of did a little mini tour, like through New York City and Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., so people could hear his music. And soon after that all happened in the U.S., he learned, he was awarded by Radio France International. Radio France International.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, they annually give out something that they call the Discovery Prize for Best New African Artist. He beat out 500 other musicians from Africa to win that award in 2010.
That's amazing.
And that really gave me an interest in learning about music, not just music, but creative talent, whether they're musicians or artists or performers from Uganda. So that's kind of what, it was an accidental experience, but it's been very fulfilling, and it brings me great pleasure to expose people, especially here in the U.S., to music from my friends. These are people that I've built relationships with and people that I personally know. And it's just wonderful to get people to hear their talent.
Michael, at the moment as well, you're promoting Uganda Sings, which we have few tracks which we're going to play. How did you start working with the Ugandan Sings?
Uganda Sings, that started back in early 2012. Personally, I was getting frustrated with the news coverage in the Western media about Uganda. There was just a lot of negative press, a lot of negative things, and I had personal experience with a different side of Uganda, with a very positive side of Uganda. I decided, rather than combat the negative press with negativity and kind of telling people they're doing it wrong or fighting them, I decided to utilize music to send a message to people. So I had met several musicians in Uganda, very talented musicians. So what we decided to do was put together what became known as Uganda Sings. 5 musicians agreed to basically donate 2 songs each to a compilation album. So rather than promote one artist or one musician, we use the power of collaboration, the power of partnerships to join together and expose these 5 musicians to brand new audiences around the world. I then used my technology skills, social media skills, graphic design skills to help create the marketing materials, the websites, Facebook, Twitter, to help spread the message of Uganda Sings.
Michael, we're ready to play your song.
Mama Tukaba is, I love all the songs that are on the album.
So we're going to play it, and you're going to tell us more about the song.
Okay. Thank you. And just so people know, Mama Tukaba is by a band called Kwela. And Kwela is I would describe them as like an Afro-funk fusion They are an ensemble band that reminds me of Sly and the Family Stone. They are incredibly talented. Thank you so much for playing.
Yeah, that was a beautiful show. I enjoyed it. Can you tell us more about the song and where people can get the song from if they want to buy it?
Yeah,
or they want to know more about you?
Yeah, there's a lot of online resources. People can just use an online search engine like Google and just search for Uganda Sings. There's a Facebook page set up for it. There's a Twitter account set up for it. And they all, probably the easiest way might be through Facebook. And there's links to all the online stores. It's available on over a dozen online stores, including the most popular ones. People can find Uganda Sings on iTunes. They can find it on Amazon, on Google Play. So there's all kinds of places where people can find it. So just do a search for Uganda Sings, and you're bound to come across it.
Wonderful. If people want to contact you, how can they contact you, Michael?
Yeah, they can contact me. Part of, even before Uganda Sings came about, one of the things that I enjoy doing is what I call bragging about my friends. What I do is I tell stories about my friends in Uganda and in other parts of Africa, and I do that on a website called Independent Global Citizen. The link to that.
Could you get the full link to the website?
Yeah, the website link it's just independentglobalcitizen.com, and there's all kinds of information. My contact information's on there, my bio, and just links to all kinds of just wonderful resources, whether they're artists, musicians, entertainers, people helping other people in their own communities. I use the phrase Ugandans helping Ugandans, so you'll see all kinds of stories about people like that on my website. So it's independentglobalcitizen.com.
Could they contact you through social media as well, on Facebook?
Yeah, I have a Twitter account and Facebook. There's an Independent Global Citizen Facebook page. I have my own personal Facebook page that people can message me. I have a Twitter account. If you just do a search online for Michael Kirkpatrick, probably the easiest way to do it is just do Michael Kirkpatrick Uganda or Michael Kirkpatrick Africa, and just do a search, and you'll find my online resources. Yeah,
sure. Michael, it's just one thing, because when you look into the Western media, what they have of Africa, what they're promoting of Africa is a very, very negative way. They're promoting dirty children. We don't have dirty children all the time in Africa. What they do, they go there specifically to find these kind of children. How was your experience when you were in Uganda? Or do you feel that this is the kind of negative way that they should be promoting Uganda rather than promoting positively? Yeah, we're getting more and more negative.
It was an interesting experience for me, and that's one of the things that I would get very disturbed about, because the term poverty porn has been coined because really what many organizations do is exploit the situation. They exploit people in rural areas or people who are impoverished, but that poverty, I don't like using the word poverty, it's just different. There are different cultures in the world. There are different ways of living. There are different priorities that people have. I don't know who made the rule that it's mandatory for everybody to wear shoes. Just because you see a child without shoes doesn't mean they're poor. Yet
you're right. And it's different type of poverty as well, Michael. It's not just material poverty. Poverty can be...
And what I say is, people here in America would be offended if I started telling everybody that they were intellectually impoverished, which they are. And not everybody. There's people doing well-intentioned. Yeah. There is intellectual poverty. Yet if I started a charity or sponsorship programs or collecting money and saying I'm helping the intellectually impoverished people of America, people would be offended by that. People in Uganda and in many parts of Africa, they are just as offended as people exploiting the situations there. It all comes down to money. It all comes down to people collecting money, having a job and sustaining their job, which is based upon promoting situations in other people's lives in other parts of the world.
Do you have one final message to send to the world, to send to America, to the UK, to Europe, to Uganda?
More and more, especially through social media, we are becoming a global village. There's no more boundaries. People need to forget these ideas of nationalities, of ethnicities.
Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you much, guys. Thank you much, guys, for coming all the way from UK. And thank you so much, Patrick, Michael Patrick from Texas.
Asking his name and why he chose to wear each day the shoes are the same.